So hi everybody. So I'm a complete beginner and I've got a few tools and I've got some scrap leather, and so now I'm gonna have a crack at making something. You'll see at the end what I make. Wonder if you can wonder what it is while I'm actually making it out. I made so many mistakes, so I've cut a lot of them out of the video, and it was a really interesting experience. So I'll take you back through the beginning, talk you through it, tell you some of the things I did that were wrong. At the end result, for a first try, I think it was okay. Enjoy. So I had an idea, and I started out by putting a little drawing together on paper. I see that everybody makes templates or buys templates, so I was interested in the idea that I would make a little template for this idea. So I got the basic dimensions in my head, measured them out, and as you see here, first thing is getting a curve. I've seen people have a thing called a French curve or something. It's a plastic curvy thing. I couldn't find anything then, but I use this. It's actually a fish that electricians use for furtling electrical cable down pipes. Came in quite useful for making a little curve there, and then I just hand drew, a little bits and pieces there. Finished off that, sliced it up as you can see, and only made half of it. It seems to me that I wanted to mirror it, so I just folded it in half and then cut the whole thing once, and there is the paper version, but it's a bit thin, so I transferred it to some thicker card because I figured that that would probably be easier to put my blade round. So I ended up with that shape there. Here's my piece of leather. This is beautiful actually, and it's got a lovely suede side. So I decided I would use the suede side. One thing about this leather, it's chrome, it's thin, it's stretchy. It's a nightmare actually. It's nothing like the kind of leather I see other people using, the veg tan leather. So it was, I made a really hard choice to begin with. And you'll see a bit later that working with this kind of chrome tanned, soft, although it's lovely, it's very difficult to work with. So here I'm just cutting off some thin strips. I have to say, so far I've used a utility knife and a craft knife, but this rotary cutter, that is amazing. And it makes really short work of this particular kind of leather in particular. I don't know what it would be like on thicker. So I've scratched out on the shiny side, the leather side, and now I'm putting some contact glue together, let it dry, and then just put the two halves together, gave it a little hammer out. I've seen people doing that. And here I am attempting to punch some holes. Quite interesting, I had no idea. I put a bit of leather behind there, but I made a basic error here because at this stage I started hammering, and when I've discovered at the end that I'd gone right through not only my piece of work, not only the piece of leather, but also into the board as well. So I was tapping too hard. Now this is the first time I've kind of practiced threading the needle. Stick it through, hammer the end, make a little press through, and that makes a little knot. So I've pressed it back through the thread itself and then just pull on that and it tightens on itself. So that worked quite well. So I decided I could do it freehand. I have built myself a stitching horse, but I'm actually using it as a camera support. So I didn't want to give that up. So I decided to start stitching by hand. Another mistake really, because this leather is so soft. There's no stiffness to it at all. And so you have to kind of hold the leather and hold the needles. And I'm using a saddle stitch method, which I've seen a video on. And it's awkward, I have to say. Next time I'm going to use my little stitching cradle, see if I get a better job of it. But I made a good start, and just took me quite a while. Each stitch, as you can see, takes a bit of a while. It's just awkward doing this as it is. So I just carried on slowly stitching. Each stitch wasn't that fantastic. I don't think I got the tension right on each stitch. Some of the stitches were awkward. You can see I'm fumbling about. It's a bit messy. But it's a first time. So shouldn't expect too much. I thought I'd be better at this than I was. Probably every single beginner in the world thinks that, but it's something I can clearly see you have got to practice on some scrap leather many times in order to get the kind of proficiency I see some of the real pros doing. So just carried on, got the first side done. I'm only doing two sides because this has an open top and an open bottom. Finished off. This thread I'm using, which is the Rizla or Ritza thread, very waxy. I don't have a sharp pair of scissors, so I cut it with my rotary cutter. This is terrible. Look at that, it's just like, what a mess. So that was untidy. And I think then had another go with a craft knife. Tried to sort of get it a little bit shorter. I have ordered a pair of those kind of like nice little snips that I see people using. I can't wait for them to arrive because this was really, really awkward. They're a little lighter. This thing's like a super jet. I don't know. But anyway, I just did that. I don't think I made a very good job of that. It was untidy. A bit of practice needed there, tucking the stitch back in. But there you go. That's what it looks like. Not fantastic, but not too bad, not a disaster. Now I've moved on. So I've got these little thin strips, and this is the gum. Because this has got a suede side, which is quite hairy, and that kind of also transfers to the edges I've cut. I started by putting on this gum and then gave it a slick with a little tiny slicker I've got, which is quite good. So slicked up, all sides of that. And then this is me using my edging tool for the very first time. And once again, this is such soft material. It's not an easy process. You can't make a single pass. You have to chisel away basically at it, which I did. It wasn't very successful. So I thought I'd sort of finish off the edges eventually when I'd done all sides with a little bit of sandpaper just to sort of try and flatten out the edges of that. Again, not that successful. So I went onto those edges with the gum once again. Just went through, and that works quite well on this kind of thing. Once it's dried and you've sort of given it a slick, makes a bit of an improvement in the edge. And then I moved on to dyeing. I bought this, I don't know what you call it, like a rotary brush. Seen it, it was cheap. First time I've ever used dye straight away. I've got a glove on, thank God, but I get it all over my glove anyway. This rotary thing, I don't know if it's any better or any worse than a paintbrush, but it seems to put a decent level of dye onto the edges like this. And it didn't drip and it didn't run. So I think it's quite successful. Be interesting if I make a belt one day that what it will look like on a slightly wider surface, but yeah, it made a reasonably good. It's a messy job, as you can see. Fortunately, I had put down some plastic, so that saved my work surface. And then I did the same thing on this little pouch. I don't know if you realise what I'm making here. So I went all round and did the tops and bottoms, and here's the final result. These are the keys to my classic MGB from 1968. You know, and it's I've got to find something for the top. Maybe you've got some suggestions. I've gone around the edge, everything here, and there you go. So yeah, the top, what am I going to do? I don't know. Find something. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and maybe ring the bell for one of my next videos. Thanks for watching.